At the Balkan summit in Athens, Greece promises to train Ukrainian pilots to fly F-16s.
US President Joe Biden vows to rebuild the Hawaiian island of Maui as he surveys the devastation left by the worst wildfires to hit the United States in more than a century. Thousands of football fans flocked to the streets of Madrid on Monday night to welcome back Spain's Women's World Cup winning team.
The Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis has welcomed European Union and Balkan leaders to a dinner in Athens. The main topic for discussion was the future of the Western Balkan region in the EU, of which many countries are currently members, but which others are hoping to join. Ukraine's President Zelensky is also attending, and Mitsotakis has already pledged to keep up military support for Ukraine as long as it takes. Earlier, Greece reportedly offered to train Ukrainian pilots to fly the US-made F-16 warplanes, which Denmark and the Netherlands pledged to provide to Kiev over the weekend.
Сьогодні ми маємо важливий результат для авіаційної коаліції. Греція візьме участь в тренуванні наших пілотів на F-16. Дякую за цю пропозицію і дякую вам, вашій команді, за готовність більше допомогти Україні із захистом нашої свободи.
Zelensky is making his fourth visit to a European Union capital in 3 days. The Ukrainian leader is shoring up support from allies fearing war fatigue could set in as the conflict appears to have stalled into a war of attrition.
It's a sight becoming all too common in Moscow and its surrounding areas. A street cordoned off and containing the scattered remains of a drone. With its anti-aircraft defense system, Russia says it shot down 2 drones in the Moscow region on Thursday morning. One of the devices went down near Chatsy, about 20 kilometers west of the capital, and another on the outskirts of nearby Krasnogorsk. According to authorities, there have been no casualties, although there has been some minor damage to buildings and cars. This is now the 5th consecutive day of drone strikes on Russian territory, with the Kremlin pointing the blame at Ukraine.
Yevgeny Prigozhin has reappeared in Africa. The leader of the Russian mercenary group Wagner has released a video in which he suggests he's there to make Russia even greater on all continents and Africa even freer. It's the first time he's appeared on video since his failed rebellion against the Russian army on June the 24th. Prigozhin says he continues to hire mercenaries and states Wagner will continue its activities in Africa and Belarus. Following Donald Trump's announcement that he'll turn himself into the authorities on Thursday, news teams gathered by Fulton County Jail in Georgia. The former U.S. president announced it through his social network Truth Social, in which he said his trip was not for murder, but for making what he described as a perfect call. Trump is accused in Georgia of trying to reverse the results of the 2020 presidential elections. The former president will have to pay a bail of $200,000 to avoid going to jail when he's tried.
The nation grieves with you. That's what US President Joe Biden told survivors of Hawaii's wildfires on Monday, as he promised to help residents of the island of Maui recover after the deadliest wildfire in the United States in more than a century. The president and his wife cut short their week-long holiday to comfort survivors of the devastating wildfires. Lahaina was a historic town of 13,000 people and has been virtually destroyed by the flames.
I also want all of you to know the country grieves with you, stands with you, and will do everything possible to help you recover, rebuild, and respect culture and traditions when the rebuilding takes place.
The wildfires have claimed at least 114 lives, with 850 people still missing. The flames moved so quickly that residents and visitors were caught off guard. Many were trapped in the streets or forced to jump into the ocean to escape. It's nearly 2 weeks since the fire started, and Biden has come under attack from Republicans who claim he has not done enough to address the devastation. The White House says Biden delayed his trip so as not to distract officials and rescuers working on the ground.
Firefighters are continuing to tackle a huge wildfire that's devastated forests on the Spanish island of Tenerife for 7 days. The blaze has so far ravaged some 13,400 hectares of woodland, and more than 12,000 people have been evacuated from their homes. The wildfire area has been declared a catastrophe zone, which will allow compensation funds to be released. The fire is in the northeast of the island and not close to any of the main tourist areas.
France is reluctantly living under the scourge of a new heat wave, the worst so far this long and torrid summer. More than 50 departments are under orange alert. Red alerts could be declared in some places. Temperatures haven't dropped below 30 degrees for days, and many find the nights unbearable.
Ce soir, on ressortira quand ça va se calmer, mais ça va pas se calmer aujourd'hui, j'ai l'impression, donc je sais pas comment on va gérer ça.
J'ai chaud, énormément.
On fait en sorte que soit hydraté toute la journée, que soit bien trempé toute la journée, et puis que soit bien à l'abri également aussi. Hein.
In the city of Lyon, tourists are cooling off in the fountains or seeking the shade. The Minister of Health has warned some parts of the country could see record temperatures on Tuesday.
The election campaign in Poland began a week ago with tough talk, military themes and polarization as the main axis of the campaign. But playing only on emotions rather than political arguments may not bring the parties the success they expect.
Jednym z głównych tematów powinno być bezpieczeństwo. Przez sytuację taką geopolityczną widzę konkretne propozycje i dotychczasowe działania Prawa i Sprawiedliwości w tym zakresie. Trochę brakuje mi konkretów, wizji i propozycji konkretnego planu działania ze strony partii opozycyjnych. Brakuje mi merytorycznej debaty. Musi być oczywiście ten prosty, konkretny przekaz, ale on nie może w całości zastępować problemu.
Experts suggest this year's campaign language and message are the result of the tense situation in the region and the country.
Pogłębiona militaryzacja języka. Jest to zrozumiałe z racji oczywiście toczącej się wojny. Partie starają się pokazać, że proponują jakieś działania, które warunkują bezpieczeństwo, a potrzeba bezpieczeństwa jest potrzebą podstawową, ale z drugiej strony brutalizacja w kampanii w Polsce wynika z pogłębiającej się polaryzacji.
Public television is influenced by the ruling party, and protesters accuse TV and the party of ignoring the needs of opposition voters. For them, raising the topic of security is not enough.
Musimy rozdzielić język i hasła partii rządzącej od szeroko pojętej opozycji. Partia rządząca chyba źle była kierowana przez specjalistów od mediów, bo hasło jest bardzo słabe. Język opozycji jest niesmaczny, urągający inteligencji nawet swoich zwolenników. Ewidentnie widać tu obawę, chyba uzasadnioną, o zły wynik wyborczy.
The Nationalist Party Confederation seems to benefit most from the fight between the two largest parties. By adopting softer language, their popularity has risen.
Partie mainstreamowe, tutaj PiS i PO, ich kampanię oceniam raczej negatywnie. Sądzę, że bardziej przerzucają się kiełbasą wyborczą niż dbają o prawdziwe potrzeby Polaków. Konfederacja tutaj nieco inaczej, raczej stara się nie wdawać w jakieś pyskówki medialne.
Picnics, parades, meetings all over the country. At the end of summer, politicians compete in visiting towns and voters. However, experts say that it is the very last emotion that can most likely determine the election results. But so far, it is not known which one. Magdalena Hodownik for Euronews from Warsaw.
A moment of triumph for Spain's Women's World Cup winning side, but one that was to be overshadowed by an unsolicited kiss for player Jenny Hermoso from the president of the Spanish Football Association, Luis Rubiales. He's now apologised.
Pero también hay un hecho pues, que tengo que lamentar y es pues, todo lo que ha ocurrido entre una jugadora y yo, con una magnífica relación entre ambos, al igual que con otras, y donde pues seguramente me he equivocado, lo tengo que reconocer, pues porque en un momento de máxima efusividad, sin ninguna mala intención, sin ninguna mala fe, pues bueno, ocurrió lo que ocurrió, yo creo que de manera muy espontánea.
The scandal arose after the ceremony following the Women's World Cup final, where Spain had beaten England 1-0. Afterwards, Hermoso wrote on social media that she didn't like the kiss at all. The Minister of Culture and Sport called Rubiales' behaviour unacceptable.
Football fans in Spain turned out in their thousands on Monday night to celebrate their side winning the Women's World Cup. The victorious players toured Madrid in an open-topped bus, drinking in the euphoric atmosphere. Olga Carmona's strike in the 29th minute sealed glory for the Spaniards in Sydney, causing heartbreak for an England side who had been favourites to win. The Spanish captain joined the celebrations, despite learning after the match that her father had passed away just hours before the final. The players arrived at the celebration spot near midnight local time, some 3 hours after their plane had landed. The celebrations ended some 4 hours later, with confetti being sprinkled onto the stage and players and staff and fans singing "We Are the Champions."